everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in the Four Keeps Recovery, Part 7. Today is June 8th, 2020, and you are loved. And that is a message that I feel is important to tell all of you now, more so than ever, blah. It is also Pride Month, so hey, regardless of who you are, what you're doing, what you feel is the best for you, we support you. And that's something that I believe wholeheartedly, at least from this group of people, these fine folk. If this is your first time joining us and you would like to find out more about the Indoor Adventures channel, consider going to Indoor Adventures on YouTube. We post all of our VODs up there. We also have audio casts of all of our past games wherever audio casts are made available for free. On top of that, we also have a Patreon set up, so if you would like to help support the show and keep it as a self-sustaining project, you can go to patreon.com/indooradventures, find yourself our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. Post it up for free. We're just using Patreon to kind of like host it. So if you enjoy after shows or you enjoyed this show and want more of these fine folk, consider joining us there. But if you already support us on Patreon, you already support us on YouTube and Twitch and all of those other good places, and you're looking for a further way to help support the show, consider going to Indoor Adventure, no S at the end, .redbubble.com. We got t-shirts, we got posters, we got mugs, and now, thanks to Cyberwolf for sharing the Tiamat insignia design, we also have face masks. It was getting really blurry there, and that was weird. I need to change some camera settings. That's fine. But we got face masks that have the symbol of Tiamat on them. All of the proceeds from the sale of those face masks are going to be going towards COVID-19 research groups. I'm going to be donating equal to the price paid for said masks. So, hey, keep it up. We're going to try and do our best for this whole shtick. And speaking of shticks and them being over, that's it for me. So, hey, RJ, where can we find you? What do you do? That's the end thing. Who you playing tonight?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ, and tonight I'll be playing both Caelum, the Shadowkai Wizard Cleric, and Alberjean Ossifor, the Warlock Barbarian.
Oh shit. Hi, I'm Cyber. I play Arjhan, the draconian walking ball of anxiety and self-loathing. Him.
And I'm Wings, also known as Danae Keener. I'm going to be playing as Coriander, the Elegant Paladin. Oathbreaker.
And you may have noticed, audio listeners and visual viewers, that our dear friend LB of LBHackEmUp is not currently here. She has some personal stuff that she needed to attend to, so hopefully she will be joining us late. But if not, LB, we love you. Take care. And so, with that, I am the Indoor Adventurer, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, your group made it all the way to Kelletthorn Fortress, where you were able to track down and locate your dear friend and current lost boy, Caelum. It was at that point that he sent himself with Father Linar through a portal, and as you battled through a swath of ASMR minions, you were able to follow after your friend. It was then, after going through this portal, that you found yourself in front of a set of doors that looked like they should have, under no real reason or purpose, ever been opened. But instead, here they were, ajar with what looked to be a path of utter darkness leading in front of you. Your group, knowing that this is clearly the direction that Caelum would have gone, as this is a door that some of you have seen before, being a replica of the door within his dream space, your group ended up passing through this gate and arrived on what the resident of the area that you had encountered would describe as the Dying One, what looked like a rather fleshy mass that was simply floating through the astral sea. After the residents' continued help, you were able to find this dark, ancient library, where upon entering in, you were able to successfully track Caelum. After a brief battle, which left Caelum unconscious and Father Linar simply a bit of dust upon the wind, you were all able to make your exit, but upon your exodus from this library, Coriander was tempted with a specific knowledge, a knowledge which she believed would possibly help her as a bargaining chip in her dealings with the Raven Queen. Upon taking this book that Shar gave to her freely and exiting this library, you all heard a unearthly cracking noise as Coriander, you found the holy symbol upon your blade to have broken. Your perspective of being an Oath of Ancients paladin instead faltered, and you are now, mechanically speaking, an Oathbreaker paladin. And to put the red dragon cherry on top of this shitstorm of a cake, you all heard the sound of large leathery wings, and a group of reptilian-looking humanoids appeared on the backs of 8 large red dragons, and that is where we left off last week. And as this group arrives, they look down and see all of you, and there is a bit of concern as they do so, and they call out in common and say, "Are you a member of Ilithari?"
What?
"Are you Ilithari?" And then
I have
another
no idea
one
what that means.
like raises their hand and like kind of confers the same thing, but the language that they speak is very raspy, has a lot of S sounds to it, but you can see that it's almost like the language portion of it is more of a courtesy to those around them. It looks like these creatures almost seem to have a eyebrow level of communication between the two of them, which is very strange because they don't really have eyebrows. It's more of just like a forehead placement. But the way, for example, that Coriander speaks to Ampleforth, these two creatures riding on the back of these large red dragons, seem to have an understanding of each other. And the dragons begin to ascend down with these individuals upon their back. And you see that there are what look to be about 10 strong of these reptilian folk. They are riding 2 and 2 across the back of 5 of these large red dragons, whereas 3 of these dragons have no rider.
Just going to put the hammer down, raise both of my hands. We're not really from round here. We came to pick up someone.
And they look towards, I believe it's Gwen who's holding Caelum.
It was Cori.
It was Cori? Okay. So they look towards you, Cori, and as these dragons surround you, they say, "You have no silver cords about you." And they kind of inspect. "And you will not mind if we confirm that you are not Ilithari?"
Sure, that's... I'm guessing Ilithari are a bad thing round here.
And as you say that, the lot of them actually kind of laugh at this. And they say, "If you do not know them already, there is no reason to worry you." And to Al, they come up to you. "I'm going to need you to take off your mask."
Pulls it off.
And this almost reptilian hand grabs you by the lower end of your jaw, and they tilt your head to the side, and they just begin looking into your ear, and then they right your face and pull up your eyelid. "Look up."
Well, he looks up. You know, no one's ever done this to me before without buying me dinner
He
first.
kind of pushes you back and then goes over to Gwen, and Gwen's like, "Well, man, what the fuck is this? I'm not really..." And then before she can really say much of anything, you hear the growl of one of these red dragons, and Gwen just, "Okay, never mind. It's cool. We're cool. What's up?" And like just immediately has an attitude change towards this reptilian individual who does the same thing, checks Gwen, finds nothing. And at this point, another member of these reptilian folk also come up. And Arjhan, if you will let them, they will do the same to you, and they will do also the same to Cori and Caelum. And after they have confirmed that there is nothing about your group that would lead to a cause for alarm, they look at you and say, "You said that you are far from home."
Yes.
This I can see. Our queen would like to have a word with you. If you would oblige. We have provided transport to go back to Narath. And he motions towards 3 of these dragons that have no rider.
Were you expecting something like this?
In the Great Sea, you can expect all manner of things. Every once in a while, you meet visitors. But you have no silver cord. Normally, visitors we encounter have a strand of silver coming from them. Usually great wizards or thinkers or people of import.
Am I picking up what he's putting down?
Make an Arcana check.
Eight.
That seems like a load of hooey. Like, do people like wrap themselves in silver before jumping through portals? What is this?
Is that
think
what
I
I've been doing
remember-
wrong?
I think I remember something of that happening with an Oblex, but no, I guess not.
And when you say Oblex, they kind of look at each other. So you're familiar with Illithari, whether you know it or not.
Am I getting the root word from that?
I would say that a blood hunter bullshit, yeah. You know, you would recognize the root word as being Illithid, which leads you to believe Illithid. It seems that Illithari is the verbiage that these folk use to refer to them as a species.
Oh, the Illithid.
Yes.
We have not encountered any, no. We haven't encountered any, right?
No. Just the
Okay.
Ublex.
Okay.
And that was more of a creation of a mind flare that was just left to do its thing.
Ooh.
We have not encountered any mind flayers.
That is good. Mind
My
flare.
mentor. Oh, yeah. I've heard stories. It's not great.
Well, our queen would like to have a word with you all about your presence here. You said that you came looking for someone?
Yes, and we found him.
And he's wounded.
And Arjhan, are you wearing a cloak at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sounds good. So at that, he says, we have members of our community who have spent many spans training themselves in medicine. If there is anything wrong with your friend, we will be able to fix him, provided you prove yourselves.
Prove ourselves how?
Prove yourselves either useful or worth helping. Right now, it's conversation. If conversation is found to be how to say this? Poor. Then we will discard you.
Lovely.
Being discarded is not so bad. You have your own district. It's fine. And Gwen has like 1,000-yard stare about the idea of being put towards where trash goes.
Oh no.
Well, being discarded somewhere where it's civilization instead of being stuck floating out here for all eternity sounds pretty tops.
It's not bad. And at that, he walks over towards the 3 dragons that do not have riders, and he just kind of gives them the same longing glare that his friend gave, and like raises a hand up, and you see these 3 nod, and then they will hunker down and allow for you all to actually ride atop them.
All right.
Cool.
Cori will mount up, but before she does so, she will actually give one of those looks to one of the dragons, trying to do her own Sylvan version of that, and I'm guessing it doesn't connect.
There is a look of confusion that is met on this dragon's face as you attempt to give it the knowing horse girl eyes.
Yeah, she echoes that confusion, and she'll load up Caelum and hop on.
Before, like after Cori mounts up, Arjhan's gonna just like take a knee in front of the dragons that have been designated to us, and intercom. He's just gonna say, "Thank you for agreeing to escort us."
And the one that seems largest of these 3 looks towards you, and she says, "It has been an honor and will continue to be. You smell of the queen."
And Arjhan will just like take a deep like nod/bow and mount up.
Okay. And so your group begins to set off, riding atop Dragonback, while the hidden temple of Shar fades off into the distance. And as your group begins to fly atop these incredibly powerful creatures, Gwen is just beside herself at the sheer unbelievability. Dragons don't exist where you guys come from, really. And she gets to ride atop the back of one through space. And she is just loving this. She's like, "Oh my God." And like she's talking to Grayskull. And you, like, in the typical one-sided conversation that you guys usually hear. And as you take off and look towards where you are leaving, as you continue to soar through the sky, you see that this place where you were looks like some part of a body. Like you can see that it almost looks like the upper portion of a torso, and then the majority of a forearm, but there isn't anything that it connects to, and it just seems to be adrift in this nothing.
So it's like a headless. What's that Grecian statue with the no arms? Aphrodite?
Venus de Milo.
Venus de Milo.
It is. Take the torso, divide it into quadrants.
Mhm.
It is simply just the shoulder bit and a little bit of the arm. But it does look like there are bones and other things that make it seem as if it was once a living thing, but it is no longer.
Al does not see this. He is currently 4 points of contact on the dragon.
It is... Al, it is so strange. You know you are going fast. There is no wind here. You are simply traveling. And you travel for quite some time. And as you do, what is everyone's passive perception?
14.
14.
Okay.
Whoa!
This is Team 14. So you notice that the dragon that Al is currently on the back of, every once in a while will look over towards Arjhan. And then, Arjhan, you can feel something looking at you, and when you go to look back towards this dragon, they immediately avert their gaze forward. They don't want to be noticing you.
It's me, senpai.
A little bit. And if a red dragon were capable of blushing, you are assuming that this large elemental beast would be.
Am I on top of the Cinderace dragon?
You are.
Yes.
Al, it is very easy for you to notice this, because the dragon's head will turn and look away, and mentally you're thinking, what the fuck are you doing? Focus on the road. Like, this is very much a terrifying
Roads.
situation for me.
We
No
don't
road in
need
the
any
astral
roads.
seas, baby.
It's the EAC, the East Australian Sea. And as you head outward, again, it just feels like you are on top of these dragons for a while. But you aren't getting hungrier. You aren't getting parched. There doesn't seem to be any internal reflection of the passage of how long you are spending flying from point A to point B. You don't even get tired atop the back of these creatures. You just simply are. And after what feels like an extended period of time, again, there's no real way of keeping track of it here, you manage to see something that is getting larger as you draw near. And it is massive. From your viewpoint, you can see what looks to be a large central body, a set of 4 large arms with finger-like appendages coming from the end, and a incredibly ancient face that looks almost like it is howling. And atop of this form, and it doesn't have a lower half, instead it just sort of looks like a hollowed out section, almost like there's some kind of like volcanic activity or intense heat that seems to come from within it. It also comes from this head. And atop of this large body, you see a metropolis. There are buildings covering the entirety of this body. Along the arms and attached to the fingers, you see what look to be hundreds of ships that just seem to be idly docked as you come in to range of the city of Tunarath. You can see some of these ships depart and just simply float through the air until they reach a point in the sky. A large metallic prong will extend from the front of one of these vessels, and it almost looks like a harpoon as it shoots out from the front of the ship, and as it does, it begins to vibrate and it strikes a point, almost like it meets some point of physicality in this nothingness, and you see that it ripples, almost like a stone being dropped into water. And at the extent of where the rippling hits, blue electricity begins to line it, and you see that the nothingness gives way to what looks like a bright blue sky and green fields, and this ship just casually passes through, and as soon as it passes through this portal, the portal closes. There are hundreds of these ships just idly parked around this city that you know now from the explanation that the Gith will give you on your way as Tunarath. They will also explain that they are called Gith. Gith Yankee, but you may call them Gith, the true Gith. And looking at the farthest end of this city, where the head of this once large creature is, there are a set of massive chains that extend downward from a floating castle in the sky into the eye sockets of this beast and seem to have anchored themselves off of the head of this ancient and decayed thing. And the dragons seem to be flying your group directly towards this floating castle. And upon looking around this city, you can see there is no consistent architecture here. It looks like, if anything, that buildings have just been put into place. Not necessarily with any plan as to a proper city map, but it looks like just random buildings from various cities, cultures, have all just been thrown together to make up this metropolis. And towards the end of the lower left-hand side, it looks like there are these like 3-story tall buildings, other buildings that are just floating, just kind of drifting off the side of this once proud creature. And as you make your way to the castle itself, eventually the dragons will kind of come to a low point, and you find yourself at an eyrie. They don't take you to the front door. That would be almost disrespectful to the creatures that you fly upon. They have their own way of entering into this castle. And as you do, those Gith that have come with you will dismount, and one will go with the large dragon that Al was riding atop of, and they will look towards your group and say, "The Queen would like a word." There. The Queen would like a word with you.
Okay.
Yep, we follow.
Okay. And as you come in, you make your way down a series of hallways, and as you do, you see that there are hallways lit by black candles that all seem to have this jeweled bust of a Gith-looking individual. And they look kind of much older than the rest of the Gith that you have met. And the stylistic choice that is made for these statues seems like it, if the Gith did have architecture of their own, this would be a prime achievement of theirs to have. And as you walk down this hallway and enter into what looks like an open chamber, you see a figure sitting atop an oppressive throne that matches the description of these statues that you have been seeing. This is a feminine-looking Gith with these glowing yellow eyes that seem to radiate magic. She wears a sheer handkerchief over her face, so you can only see the slats where her nose are, but you can't see her mouth. She has a impressive looking crown that is just twisted bands of iron, but they seem to draw in any kind of aggression or thoughts of fear that you might have towards this individual, and this crown seems to be able to contain and alleviate those fears as best as possible. The throne that she sits on is made of skulls, and these skulls do not look human. They have large eye sockets on either side of kind of elongated bone structure, and you can see where normally a lower jaw would be. These have a almost circular like mouth area, and you are guessing, Arjhan, your familiarity with the Illithid would let you know this throne is made of the skulls of mind flayers. And this woman that sits atop the throne of skulls has next to her a almost unyieldy looking greatsword that is incredibly ornate and looks like it would be so difficult to swing. But the way that she seems to grab a hold of the hilt, you're guessing that she would be able to move this with a relative ease. And in her left hand, she has a golden scepter that looks like it has a red dragon's head actually coming from the top of it. And as she looks towards your group as you arrive, she hunches her shoulders forward, and this red robe that she wears that is covered in hundreds upon thousands of crystals and gems seems to flow and then nicely wrap itself onto her. And as you look at her, it almost feels like some of these gems on her robe are looking back. And as your group enters in, the queen looks towards you all, and she puts a hand up, and the Gith that has come in says, Queen Vlaakith, or sorry, goddamn, wrong accent. That's okay, lady. And they say, Gwen Vlaakith, these are the travelers that you were having us look for. And she raises a hand to them. You may leave us. He will nod, and the dragon is actually going to stay with your group. And Queen Vlaakith looks towards your party. I see no silver threads about you. It seems you are far away from home.
Al will put a hand over where his heart is and just bow towards her.
What are your
yeah.
names?
Ooh, boy.
There is no reason to be afraid. You are guests here. And from what I can tell, honored ones at that.
My name is Alberjean, Your Majesty, Your Honor.
Queen.
Arjhan, Your Grace.
You may call me Cori.
And name's Gwen. Just staunch halfling. And he's Caelum. He's not doing so hot right now. Yes, I can see this. I have reason to believe that one of you here would respect the ancient pack of the Dragon Mother. And she looks more directed towards you, Arjhan.
I think we all do.
I mean, Arjhan doesn't say anything. Do I recognize what she is?
Beyond a doubt, she reeks of undeath.
But the feelings of fear have been taken away from me, as have the feelings of aggression. So Arjhan is just like deadpan.
Yeah. Are you a speaker for the Queen Mother?
I think that's what I'm supposed to be.
And you see her cheekbones rise as you're guessing that a smile is upon her face behind this mask she wears. And she says, "Then you are free to stay in Tunerath as long as you would like. You said that well, my man has said that your friend is injured. This is something we can hopefully take care of here. How did you come to find yourself in Tunerath? Or not Tunerath necessarily, but the Great Sea." And she will motion out behind her throne room to just the emptiness that is the Astral Sea.
We followed someone who took our friend. We were hunting this person. We followed them through and found our friend. And then he found us. We would not like to be here longer than we must. We need to get back to Alira.
She nods. I see. Well, no one will say that the Blacketh is not somebody who goes back on her word. So I will help you get back to this Alira. It is within our means.
At what cost?
I will need your help. If possible, your friend is injured. Our staff is well trained in, again, being able to alleviate some of the pains that they might have experienced. If you would like, we can look after him. You help us out with a small matter.
What is this small matter?
Here in Tunrak, we live upon our god, the one within the void. And their last blessing was the bastion that you see before you. However, this blessing also came with a asterisk point. We do not feel hunger here, as you might have noticed. We do not age. We do not sleep. We have no need for sustenance. We are provided for here. However, we still need to be able to replenish our numbers if we are to fight the Ilithari. In order to do this, we place our children at strongholds on the material plane throughout. And when they are ready to come back to join the fight, there is a proving that they must do. You said that you hunted your friends, so I assume that you are good hunters. They must kill, as you called them, mind flayers. And at that, she seems to, almost caress one of the skulls upon her throne. It is a coming-of-age thing that we as Gith do.
Arjhan just blinks.
If you do this, we will be able to send you back to Alira and make sure that all of your friend is taken care of.
We're new here. We're unfamiliar with this place and your customs. How is it right that we help with approving? Shouldn't that be something that your people do? We are not your people.
This is true. But how do I know that you are trustworthy if you will not do the things that I ask?
just blinks.
And what of you? May call Cori. What of you, Alberjean? And Gwen says, all right, listen. Like, turns to your group and says, the last time there was a situation where Caelum went off on his own, there was a voice inside my head that said that I should join a really convenient drinking party, and I'm not doing that again. I'm not leaving my baby boy alone. So as fun as it sounds, kicking ass, someone's got to make sure that he doesn't disappear again.
Cori gives her a meaningful look, and dumps him on top of her.
Should I
I'm good.
roll a death save for that?
No, you're good.
She'll like sort of dust her shoulders off where she was carrying Caelum and take a few steps towards the queen and says, if all you need is for us to kill something, then we can handle it.
It's good. And we will make preparations at once. And she closes her eyes and puts two fingers up to a temple and then lowers them. And as she does, the entryway to this throne room ends up opening. And you see that there are more of these Gith figures, but they are wearing large white coats. And they will actually come in a group of 3. And one of them will offer to take Caelum from Gwen to kind of help move him. And she says, no, I got him. He's cool. Just, like, show me where I need to go. They nod, and they begin to exit this room. And Gwen says, don't worry, guys. Got it.
But does she, though?
Yes, she does.
And at that, Vlaakith will look towards your group and say, if you would like to strike up any kind of residence, if you are feeling exhausted from your travels, you are more than welcome to help yourself to any of the abandoned buildings that you may find. And at that, this large red dragon actually looks over towards Vlaakith, and it seems they have a brief moment of just sharing a look back and forth at each other. And Vlaakith will say, well, it seems as if Rasa is willing to extend her cave to you and your friends for at least long enough for you to feel rested. But
Arjhan just does like another like bow nod.
And Vlaakith, you can see, smiles a little to herself as well. And she will thank you all and say, we will send a party with you to retrieve our young from the stronghold. But until then, enjoy Tunarath. And at that, Rasa will bow and look towards your group, and she'll actually extend a shoulder down for you all to get onto her back.
Gives the queen a bow and clambers up.
We heading out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rasa takes off, and you can see that whereas a lot of the other dragons here would be considered a young dragon. Rasa looks like she is on the cusp of becoming an adult dragon in terms of size as well as age. She seems definitely like the most, like just the largest of these red dragons. And she will fly over the city and then dive down into this large open chasm. Yes.
As soon as we're out of that fucking crown's radius, Arjhan starts like hyperventilating.
Okay.
Arjhan.
Are you
Arjhan.
okay?
Not really, no. The queen is a lich. We're doing a job for a lich. We are here at the mercy of a lich.
Look at it this way, the sooner we get the job done, the sooner we can get the fuck out of here.
Gods.
And in Draconic, you hear from underneath you, a lich, yes, but a good queen. She loves her people. In her own way. And Rasa will continue flying you towards her cave. And as you go into the underside of the one in the void of Tunarak, you see that it's almost like a honeycomb pattern of caves and entryways that exist underneath this creature. And Rasa just flies through a series of caves that almost seem like they have no discernible pathway until you are deep under the city, and you enter into a chamber where it looks like there is a large pile of gold and baubles and weaponry, and even a few what look to be like small buildings that have kind of been tucked away. One hut is actually upside down and just kind of filled with all sorts of coinage. And Rasa will then land, lower her shoulder for you all to descend again. And in Draconic, she says, "Welcome to my home."
Thank you for your hospitality, Rasa.
It is an honor. And she, as she says this, she kind of like sheepishly says it towards you. If you would make yourselves at home, you are free to use any of the facilities. She motions towards these huts that she just sort of has. And as you look around in her pile of stuff, you can see that there is a very, very fine set of Ordstone dice, as well as what look to be a collection of several other games, all of incredibly fine make, but it seems like she enjoys a little bit of a challenge.
Anybody have anything that they need to do?
Rest for the most part. Maybe gather some information on what illithids can do. I've heard stories.
What is an illithid?
It's a squid-faced fucko who casts magic and likes to eat brains.
Yeah.
Sounds like I was made to fight those.
Actually, yeah, probably. Yeah. My studies focused on other things, but I mean, we've still heard the stories, just these evil creatures from another plane.
Anything that uses magic to harm and victimize others.
I don't remember them like actually using magic though.
Rasa shakes their head and says in Draconic, so Arjhan, you will have to translate, but she is going to be drawing diagrams in the floor to help us along. She's actually very talented. It seems like having a decent charisma stat will actually get you far in life. And
Wouldn't know that.
and as she draws on the floor, like Al said, you see a kind of squid-faced creature that has its fingers steeped together. It is definitely a subscriber of Villainous Gentleman's Quarterly. They look very fashionable, but there is just this cold, calculating stare that seems to come from this creature. And Rasa will explain that the Illithid don't use magic necessarily. In fact, they see magic as a perversion of their psionic abilities. It seems like these creatures actually utilize their own intellect to be able to alter things around them to an incredible degree.
Arjhan relays all of that.
And Rasa is drawing diagrams while she just speaks Draconic.
I think Cori has some confusion as to what psionic ability is. And she, like, like it's explained to her what psionics are, and she's like, how is that not just magic?
I don't know, they change it every edition.
Hands him a handkerchief. So, great. It's a mind fuck. Got it.
Eventually.
Rasa will chuckle at this.
Well,
and she sort of sits up on all fours and brings her chest up real wide in a very proud stance. And she lets you know that she has personally slain over 100 of these creatures.
What do they need us for?
Probably to help in this rite of passage. Sorry.
That's what I was wondering. Like, sure, we're here to help in a rite of passage, but like that doesn't seem right.
I think that this is our rite of passage. This is the way that they test people.
But they're specifically sending us to help other people who are supposed to go through this rite of passage. That's...
I guess we're basically trainees to them. We've got to prove our worth somehow.
There are some societies where combat is worth.
Oh no, I'm definitely not. I'm not bashing any of that. Illithid are definitely better off dead.
Rasa happily nods.
And if this culture is gun-ho on protecting, boomstick ho on protecting everybody from them, that's great. I don't know why it's our place to help with this, but whatever. Let's do it. Let's get Caelum out and let's go home.
Yep.
Rasa will say to you, Arjhan, that the people here need something to do. They are the Gith themselves are trapped in this place and Vlaakith is stuck in a situation where if she has too many members of this incredibly militaristic group in the city and not out doing things, she might be perceived as weak. Whereas if she is constantly sending troops out to go do something, she can at least be perceived as a decent leader. Versus if she sent everybody, then she would be leaving the city defenseless. To her, this is something that your group will be able to help her in looking like a more effective queen, as well as you all being able to be trusted. And Rasa says, I hope that makes sense.
Whenever she was talking to us, she said that we would need to respect the pact with the Queen of Dragons. What does that mean? What pact was formed?
And Rasa, again, like, she kind of gets into a position where she can proudly recite something that she is committed to memory. And she explains that the Githyanki used to be servants of the Mind Flayers. They were servants of the Illithid. However, they were able to rise up, and thanks to Queen Vlaakith, who was an advisor to a woman named Gith at the time, they were able to broker a deal with Tiamat, where Tiamat's consort, Ephelamon, was able to promise the aid of red dragons to the Gith's aid in exchange for something. Not even the dragons actually know at this point what the initial deal was. However, hundreds of red dragons from the Hells and from the variety of the realms are all trained here with the Gith in their younger days until they reach adulthood through the process of lengthy missions. When Rasa states that she personally has killed over 100 of the Illithid herself, the red dragons and all things do not age while within the sea. The fact that she has almost gained adulthood by just going out on missions alone for combat shows just how combat ready she is, something that Tiamat is always very excited for, especially the redhead of Tiamat. And so when Vlaakith had spoken of the pact between herself and the Queen Mother, it was referring to that very old, very ancient pact that is still held on to today, where the forces of Tiamat will help the Githyanki in their pursuits to destroy the Mind Flayers.
I see. This is very different for us. We, dragons don't exist where we're from.
And Rasa looks very confused at this. She says, well, surely there must be one.
There's a bronze dragon, but that's about it.
And she gets a kind of a stank look on her face when you say bronze dragon. And she looks at you. Are you not considered a dragon? You share our features, though you are small.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be.
And she nods. She nods knowingly at this. And says, "You will find it. And as long as you remain within the Great Sea, I will be by your side." Yeah, hold on. Just a second.
Bing bong.
Who's your friend who likes to play? Bing bong, bing bong.
Get out. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, it was so sad. Oh, Pixar.
Fuck out of here.
I cannot.
You mean you can not, or you can't not?
I have lost the ability to can.
I can not. I cannot not.
You can tune a
Ma'am?
piano, but you can't tune a fish.
Sorry. I've been expecting a package all day, and I got bamboozled by Jehovah's Witnesses instead.
Oh. Oh no.
So I heard the doorbell go off. That's fine. It's okay. Anywhooms. All right, so what did I miss?
Puns.
Okay.
That's about it.
Cool.
We were waffling.
Puns and references.
Yeah, so Rasa has said that as long as you are in the process of finding yourself out, or finding out who you are within the Astral Sea, that she will be by your side for it.
Arjhan just nods. Why he looks like he's got a lot on his mind. In his brain holes. That hopefully the Illithid won't get to.
So yeah, wear helmets if you can.
Never worn a helmet. Oh my gods, is that my problem?
I think it's a little too late for a helmet for you, love.
Okay. So, Alberjean, you wanted to take a rest. So if you guys would like, you can enter into a long rest. You are in a combat-free zone being protected by an almost adult red dragon.
Nice.
Before that, Al will gingerly put 5 gold down in a pile and then walk off.
Rasa will come over and like sniff the gold. And then you see her mouth kind of opens in the way that lizards can smile. And she just like scoops it over with a finger towards the rest of the pile.
Great.
Okay. So,
The moon is not visible in the Astral Sea.
no, there is no moon here.
Cool. Cori's gonna say a quick little prayer to Elistray. I think she will find a house to herself, and then go sit on the roof of it.
Okay.
Cori exists on roofs only. And like the moment she gets away from them, like her face kind of falls, as well as her shoulders. Just her whole demeanor becomes a little bit more concerned, as though she were putting on a brave face in front of her friends. She'll get out her sword and examine it very quickly.
And as you look on the crossguard of this sword, you can see that where your holy symbol once was, it's almost like a fracture within this thing. There is a deep line that seems to extend right down the center of this crossguard, and at the very center of this fissure, you can see that it seems almost a little bit more rounded than just perfectly broken. And it looks like the metal didn't come off. It just looks like it was simply rended into.
She's going to kneel and lay the sword across her lap. And she's going to close her eyes and reach out to Elistray.
Okay. Make a religion check.
Natural 1.
Okay. Yeah, you go to pray to Elistray, but I feel like Cori is so unfamiliar with the concept of praying to a deity that it's just I don't know what words to say at this point. So I feel like it's more just like you're trying to think, because normally you let the moon do the talking for you. There's no moon in this place. You're in a cavern, hanging out with a red dragon while you wait for a Lich Queen to help your friend who you just saved from being mind controlled.
I think
days.
She spends her whole long rest just trying to reach out to Elistray.
Okay. And then are you planning on changing out of summer form?
Yeah. She's going to try and turn into moon form. She's trying everything that she can do.
Okay. Sounds good. So, because there's no check involved for dropping to moon form. So when you do, this is something that you are not necessarily accustomed to. When you change your seasons, it always comes very easy, but it seems like this is water flowing in a river as to how easy it is to change into your moon form this time around. Normally, you have to focus on it a little bit, but it almost seems like you can just let yourself be into this state. And rather than being this vibrant white moonfire hair that you have had previously, it is almost like looking into a far galaxy where you can see that there are bits and pieces of starlight that seem to emanate from just the absolute depths of this almost purple-hued darkness.
And this doesn't feel like Elistray.
It does not. It still feels like moon form, but it is not Elistray.
I think her eyes pop open, and she's like a little bit surprised at how easy that was. And she looks down at her hair, kind of like flips it down in front of her, and looks at it for a moment. And Elistray, what have I done wrong?
There is no response. Al. So you were resting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you resting inside one of these smaller huts, or were you just kind of like hanging out?
Probably put his stuff down in a hut and then was just hanging out in front of one.
Okay. And Arjhan, is there anything that you wanted to do specifically over this long rest?
Nah.
Okay. At some point, Rasa will come up to you, and she has she's like walking and holding something in her right hand, and when she comes up next to you, she sets it looks like 2 spinning tops and a weird bowl that seems to kind of have like a flatter inside on it, and she says, the discarded like to play this game of chance. Are you familiar with battling tops?
Not particularly.
Would you like to learn?
Sure.
And her large tail, you can see, kind of like swishes in the back. And she admits that she likes this one because there's no skill involved. And she teaches you how to wind up your top, and she winds up hers. And Cori, when you and Al come out later, you will see that Arjhan and Rasa have just been playing tops with each other.
We got some fucking Beyblades.
Only in the Astral Sea. So, Cori, when I would assume that Al is the first person that you end up meeting, and Al, when you take note of Cori, you can see that her hair is just this deep jet black that is almost has like this purplish aura to it, and you can see that there are those bits of starlight, but the most striking thing is her eyes. Normally, Cori just has these very, like, full-colored eyes regardless of what form that she has currently taken, but this time around, it's like, Danae, it's the purple eyes, and then is it still white sclera?
It's black sclera, actually.
So it's just these eyes of purple on a black field.
I like the new look.
What happened?
I don't know.
Looking at the form, knowing that previously her moon form and her raven form had like certain distinguishing aesthetics tied to certain goddesses. Am I getting a thingy off of this?
This definitely does not look like the raven form, as the raven form has a much more muted look to it, and this doesn't look at all like the moon form that you've seen previously. But you see that like some of the changes on the armor reflect the changes that would normally be made under her moon form.
So it's okay, so like it's still silver everything,
Yeah.
but the hair and eyes are purple. Okay. Still, does that seem like a particular god aesthetic?
Make a religion check.
11.
Yeah, you just came from a library with a lot of that color scheme.
Did Shaw do this?
I don't know. Things are strange in the astral sea. I can't see the moon. Connecting with Elastray has been difficult.
I mean, well, I mean, what's happened with Shaw since the last time you went to Moonfall?
And Cori, as you think about what you could have possibly had an interaction with Shar since the last time you moonformed, you begin to remember a brief conversation that happened not too long ago, where there was a book that you spied in the library, and you decided to take it out with you. And as you remember pulling the book out from the shelf to gain a bargaining chip against the Raven Queen, that's where we're going to go to our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop by and join us for this wonderful romp. Our dear friend LBHackEmUp is not going to be able to join us tonight, but that is okay. Gwen is doing what she loves doing most, watching Caelum sleep. So we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. So don't go no place unless it is to grab food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. And we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. See you soon. And we're back. RJ is going to be... I see him down there. What's he doing? Were you under your bed?
I thought this break was only gonna last 10 minutes. I was there for a while.
Were you
Now my
planking?
elbows hurt. Then again, it wouldn't be the first time I was on my knees. Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy Pride! Bwomp, womp, womp, womp.
Oh my
And
god.
we're back. Hello, everyone.
He's been laying on the floor for so goddamn long.
I had to move my chair in the way because my feet were showing. So it's like, it's gonna tilt that slightly.
Amazing. So, as you may or may not have seen, we had to restart the stream. That's okay. I'm still apparently dropping frames. It's an audio medium, so as long as you guys can hear us, I hope that that's good enough. And then we'll figure it out from there. But yes.
Now is a perfect time to mention that if you're on Twitch Mobile, there is an audio only option that may help with your stability.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Good times. And
It might work on desktop too. I don't know. I don't work for Twitch.
And Hype Goblin, thank you so much for the sub. I don't have anything to make noise at near you.
Bing bong.
Oh fuck.
There, we did it. We made the boom sound. Yes. So, Arjhan has just asked Cori if there was any interaction between her and Shar that would have possibly changed things since the last time that she used her moon form. And very clearly, Cori remembers taking a book from Shar's library.
Elistray is a moon goddess. Shar is the opposite side of that. Perhaps she's intercepted somehow.
I'd like to cast Identify on Cori.
Okay. And then
Is she being affected by any spells?
she's not being affected by spells.
I mean, it's nothing that I can see.
When's the full moon?
You know that the full moon was 12 days from when you had left.
Right. When we get back to the natural plane, I'll try to connect again. Failing that, I'll try during the full moon. She wouldn't just abandon me like this.
I guess not.
All right. And as you guys are having this conversation, Rasa is going around cleaning up any games that she has left out from the previous night. And after a certain point, we'll actually then come over to your group and then lean down again for you all to hop on. Okay. And she will make her way out of this honeycomb system of caves with you all riding atop. And as you get towards the entrance of these dragon caves, you can see that there is actually a ship that is currently waiting for you. And you can see that aboard this ship are about 5 of these Githyanki. And Rasa will fly up and then actually land close onto the ship. And she lets you all know that she is incapable of interplanar travel herself. But these ships that the Gith use are actually able of taking you to where you need to go.
Thank you, Rasa.
And you can see that she, again, kind of smiles as much as a dragon can, and then nods as you all make your way onto this vessel. And she will then just sort of watch as your ship departs. And once you are on this Githyanki vessel, it will back up and float towards a pre-designated spot in this otherwise voidless sky. And as it rests, you can see that it also has this almost harpoon-looking prong extend from the front of the vessel, and it will shoot out, and you will hear a ringing noise just as you did the day before. And in front of you is a portal that you can see leads to, it looks like it is the airspace above an incredibly large forest. And as you pass through this gate and it closes behind you, it's very strange being in this place. Everything looks very similar to your home, but the greens of the grass and the trees are just a slightly different shade. There seems to be a little bit more of a kind of like pastel light on a lot of things around here. And as the ship sails through the sky, you can see that there is just this ever-present mist that seems to comfortably rise from the forest floors. And as you make your way around these woods, off in the distance, you can see a massive city that seems to just jut up from the earth towards the edge of the sea. And as you wrap around, there is a ramshackled house that looks like it extends into what would otherwise be a well-constructed fortress in the back. And looking up at this ship as it makes its way down, you see a half-elf with this wicked-looking bow over their shoulder, and they just sort of have their hands on their hips as the ship kind of sails down. And as it arrives, you see that this half-elf will actually like show them where to land. And when you do land and these Githyanki begin to step off, some of them will give a like forearm embrace towards this half-elf and pull them in for a warrior's embrace. And then one of the Githyanki will actually turn to your group and say, and I'm assuming that you've all exchanged your names with this individual, and will say, Cori, Alberjean, Arjhan, this is Ash of the Withering Shot. And the half-elf just sort of gives a very simplistic but like acknowledging hand motion. And they have a very bright and vibrant red pseudo-dragon that seems to rest on their shoulder. And it seems like, if anything, Ash spends a little bit more time like paying closer attention to her pseudo-dragon than she does the actual Gith that have arrived. And one of the Gith will walk over to Ash, hand them a letter. Ash will look in it, nod, and close the letter. And then they look towards your group and say, so, see, they suckered you all in for this. You do know what we're going to be going up against, right?
Yes, we're willing suckers who are about to go against a mind player.
All right.
They're
cool.
like, right?
Lack of a better word, yeah. Easy. They're fleshy. Usually just wear breastplate on their chest. You all look capable. I'm sure you'll be fine. And then she says, or they say, it's time you meet the recruits. And they will make a loud whistling sound, and you see that their pseudo-dragon actually like covers the ear holes on the side of its head. It doesn't like being this close to the sound. And you hear the sound of movement from within this grouping. And you see what look to be 4 very young looking Gith. And Ash looks at the 4 of you and says, they insist on being called their material names. So she points towards the first and says, this one is Deacon. This one is Matt. That one's Bill. And that one is Ted. And as she points at Ted, both Bill and Ted make a motion with their arms like they're playing some sort of strung instrument and just sort of like laugh and nod to each other, very pleased with themselves and their choices of material names.
Andor, what the fuck?
Bill and Ted's extraplanar adventure.
And as your group is introduced to them, Ash will let them know that preparations are to be underway to get all their gear and then meet back here. And Ash says, I've been hunting these illithid mind flayers, what's-a-fucks, for a while now. Come across them every once in a while, but about 60 years or so ago, my adventuring party and I ended up needing the help of the Gith in order to take care of a bigger issue. You probably saw the capital back there. The entire place was overrun. Thankfully, we were able to communicate with the Gith, and they've had me train them ever since. The ones that we've tracked down for our current hunt are in a ruined church. I know the area pretty well. Again, my old adventuring party and I went there. Ended up fighting an undead beholder. There's a whole story. Different time. We ended up clearing it out, but it seems as if these mind flayers felt like it was a good place to hold up. And structurally speaking, it was sound, but still pretty easy to get into.
And how many mind flayers are we talking about?
And they say, from what I've counted, 3. And then, have you ever seen what the mind flayer does if they find a beholder?
No, but we found a beholder.
So you're familiar with the beams and everything, right? It's like
Very.
that. Thankfully, they're fleshier after the mind flayers get done with them, so they're easier to hit, but they're still really gross, and I would recommend not touching them, more of just like a sanitary thing. It's kind of gross.
Great.
And that they will motion for your group to come with them towards, again, that kind of ramshackle looking hut. And when you get close to it, as you open up these large double doors, you can see that there is a teleportation circle that has actually been set in place inside of this ramshackle hut. And Ash says that when everyone's ready, they just need to step on the circle. And then they'll be able to take them to at least relatively closer towards their hunting ground. And the Githyanki that are prepped and ready for this mission end up all meeting, and you can see that they are excited, but they are definitely young when it comes to the like warrior level maturity that you have seen from all of the other Githyanki that you have interacted with. These ones definitely seem like they are just getting done with their teenage years. And so they definitely have a level of confidence going into this that they probably shouldn't have, or just aren't aware enough to actually know what to do with.
I think Al is sharpening the spear end of the Urgosh, and he just mutters, "First combat's gonna change that."
And as you all step onto this large teleportation circle, Ash will... It's very strange seeing Ash perform this spell, because normally it is done by a high-level arcane caster, but Ash is a ranger. And as they prep this spell, you see that it is taking a lot of plant matter off of shelves and kind of compiling it into a center place. It seems like the circle that they have set up can be accessed through what natural plant life is actually found in the area that they are teleporting to. And so they get all of that off of shelves and then begin the process. And with a flash of light, your group, as well as the 4 other warriors that you are with, all come through this teleportation circle. Ash still has spits upon their shoulder, and when you arrive, Ash takes absolutely no time to see if any of you are okay, but instead they seem to just turn very quickly, and then as they begin walking forward, you see them begin to shrink drastically down until they are maybe about 6 to 8 inches tall. And Spitz, their pseudo-dragon, sidles up next to them, and you see this very small person hop on the back of the pseudo-dragon, and they take flight. And you hear a very high-pitched, "Come on!" from the much smaller form of Ash. And after your group has come through this portal, Bill and Ted are both very excited about having just teleported from place to place. Saying something about this being more wild than stallions, they're not entirely sure. But your group is able to then begin to make their way. And as you do, Ash tends to stay a little bit ahead of your group, just a little bit, making sure that everything is safe and ready. And a lot of these Githyanki are just very excited for the chance to finally come into contact with one of these mind flayers.
Gather round, Cori says.
We gather round.
She's going to make a sigil of protection with her hands and cast protection from good and evil. With her hand, yes. Against aberrations.
Okay.
That's what illithids are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I think she would have figured that out talking about them earlier. But yes, she casts that. Oh shit, actually I might not be able to do this on multiple people.
Only one, I think.
It's only one.
Nope. Okay.
But you could do it on yourself.
Never mind. Boop.
Okay.
She'll cast that on herself. And
Everybody
gain...
gather round. Watch me be cool.
Watch this. Boop.
Gather around. I love me this much.
For 10 minutes, she'll have creatures of those types will have disadvantage on attack rolls against her. Also, she can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. And yeah, that's it. Those are the things she gets.
Okay.
Yeah. She gets that. Sorry. I thought this was going to be a lot more of a group activity.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I'll cast aid on you guys. Boop.
Okay,
Oh, that's
and
concentration.
It is not concentration. It's a great spell. I mean, protection from evil and good is concentration, but aid is not. And it lasts for 8 hours.
What
I
do
mean-
they do?
8 lasts for 8 hours.
It gives you
What?
+5 temporary hit points.
Okay.
Up to 3 creatures. Hey, there's 3 of us here. Boop.
the Gith Yankee are all right being left out of this. You see them actually, like, prepping themselves with spells as well.
And I think that she actually has a little bit of relief, knowing that she can actually continue to do divine magic. I think she was half expecting not to be able to.
Okay. Yeah, and your transition into moon form, the magic is so much easier than you are typically used to it being. It's almost like if there was a wellspring and typically your magic is the equivalent of everybody drawing from the same well, this is like your own private reserve. Like you're not sharing, this is yours.
Great.
Yep. Just as, as a thing that's going on. But thankfully you cast, when you cast protection from good and evil, we'll say that you're within sight of the place that you are supposed to be going to, as you had just been in the woods for quite some time. And eventually, coming out of the woods, you can see, as was described earlier, what looks like a ruined temple of sorts. And you can see, based off of the depictions and the mosaics that are along the side walls, that this was at some point a temple to Lathander, the sun god. But it seems like the symbols that they're using for Lathander don't really, like, they're older symbols. They're different symbols than the ones that you guys are used to seeing, but you do recognize them still. And looking at this building, you can see that there is a large hole in one of the side walls that looks like it was just removed at some point. And a naturally forming hole looks much different than a hole that a beholder probably made with an I-beam some 60 odd years ago. And there are several of these purple-skinned individuals that seem to just be floating from the ground, moving about this ruin. And Ash will fly down on their pseudo-dragon spits, hop off, grow back to a normal size. And as they do, you can see that it's a headband that they wear that seems to be allowing them to do this. It's almost like a dark metal band, but on the inside portion there is what looks like flowing obsidian. Just this very nice deep black rock that seems to move almost like it was liquid. And Ash looks at the group and says, I can take some of these ones towards the back. Quick, clean. That's fine. But 2 of them are going to have to go with your group. and she motions towards the Githyanki that you have come to know as Bill and Ted. These two are going to go with you.
All right.
And
any other particular direction?
And they say, when I was here last, there were some holes that were made inside. It was a beholder den. If you see any holes in the ground, that's probably where their friend is currently residing. You might want to look out for that.
All right, so we're just going directly in.
And when you say that, Bill and Ted both bring out these large silvered greatswords and just, yeah!
No.
And
No.
Ash also, like, puts up a hand. Just, no. They, like, lower their swords a little bit. Wait, no, I've heard about this. You gotta be stealthy. And then one of the Githyanki, good one, Ted! And they both seem, like, very excited to be on this hunt.
We're all going to die.
That's okay. We can't be detected right now. Yeah, we're fine. And Ash looks over to your group. They have an innate ability to use non-detection magics upon themselves. As dumb as they are, the mind flayers won't be able to find them.
That's incredible.
Now, are you all familiar with a stealthy approach?
Familiar is taking... that might be giving us a little bit too much credit.
We're acquainted.
I explode.
I jingle.
The Thane approach. Got it. So what you're going to want to do then is possibly lure one of them out, distract them, take them out one by one. If you can't be stealthy going in, stay in one place, draw them out.
Loud and flashy. We can do that.
Do that. What's stopping us from just collapsing the entirety of the church on the Beholder Den?
They're resilient.
Hmm.
And
If it doesn't kill them,
Indeed.
that renders everything moot.
We had that problem once before. Oh, you weren't there for that.
Your party gets up to a lot of shit.
You've got to make sure that they're dead. Just take it from me.
okay. And as you guys are deciding your best strategy, you look back over to the Githyanki that you are supposed to be watching over, and there is just the outlines of where two Githyanki were. And as you look back towards this ruin, you can see that the two of them are kind of like pushing each other and chuckling as they are making their way through the brush towards the front.
Should I walk in there swinging then?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Ash will nod and say, hopefully they learn a lot from from your group. And then
I hope not.
she turns back, or they turn back. All right, Matt, Deacon, you're with me. And the two of them nod, and they will follow off after Ash, while the two of you watch the Githyanki, Bill and Ted, begin making their way towards the ruins. So what is the group doing? You can see that there aren't any that it looks like the interactions that these mind flayers had with each other has finished, and they are now just kind of making their rounds around the vicinity of this ruin.
Draw them out.
Okay.
But, are there any buildings around the church that I can get above?
There are. It's like the groundskeeper's shed in the back where the graveyard would have been. So it's not as tall as the church itself, and it doesn't seem like it's on the right side for the entryway. There is also a crumbled wall that you would be able to get on top of as well.
Looks over to Arjhan. I'll draw them out. You run interference.
I'll shoot at things from very far away.
And what
That's
should
the
I
kind
do?
of You can teleport, right?
Yes.
He'll smile.
Underneath his mask,
Yeah. Well, he'd probably like lift it a little bit.
wistful smile.
Walking around with a mask a lot more often than I used to. I keep forgetting that people can't see me smile politely.
Nope, it's just
It's
dead
so-
stares.
So I'm
Yeah,
just
give him-
like,
So,
You gotta master the head nod, like up for
If
people
nice
you
in the
don't know, down
courtyard.
for people you do.
nice in the courtyard.
if
Yes.
more than one
Anyway.
comes out, Coriander teleport behind them and give them the old.
All right.
Okay. And as you guys are determinant on your plan and nearing up, you see that the Githyanki known as Ted currently has two fingers pressed to the side of their temple, and they are looking very intently towards a pile of rubble that seems to be adjacent towards where one of the Illithid are currently passing by. And as you get closer to them, you hear this, yeah, get him, Ted. And he lifts his fingers quickly, and as he does, a piece of rubble from that pile actually shoots up and just paps into the back of this mind flayer with a rock, and the two of them duck down, and this mind flayer turns around and begins looking in the direction where this rock was thrown at them, and then they begin drifting towards there. And it is at that point that let's kick things off. So, Alberjean, you're planning on just running in?
He's gonna walk in. He's spinning the great hammer around in his hands. Probably going to flare with light for his radiant consumption. And he'll whistle over to the mind flayer. Just, oi, Skujili.
Mind Flayer turns back towards you and just gives you this very confused look.
And they don't talk.
And so you are now flaring with light, looking at this creature dead in the eye. That was a perfect time to roll initiative for everybody.
Hot damn.
11.
30, 20.
Five.
Okay. Bill gets a 10.
Bill gets a Ted. Ted gets a Bill.
And Ted
I-
gets a
the first
12.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yes.
Excellent.
The first thing I do when I roll initiative is stick my pencil in my mouth, and then I can't say what initiative I got.
You fool.
It's a catch-22,
Okay, so
which is not my
But
initiative.
not what you rolled.
Alberjean, you are actually going to be first in the initiative order.
Yeah. Okay, so how far am I? About like 30.
Yeah, I would say you're 30 feet away from this creature.
Gets right on him. Great weapon master. Gonna hit him with Urgosh.
You've got an Urgosh?
I got an Urgosh.
That's what
It was
his
a Meals
hammer
Urgosh.
Damn.
It's a great gosh.
My brain's blanking on numbers. 22 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
I'm gonna dump a 4th level smite on this.
Nice.
Is there any damage resistances that I need to worry about?
No.
Cool. 4th level smite is... That's that. 45 points of damage total on the first hit.
Ooh-wee. That's a first hit? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, great weapon master, plus 10.
Silly. Okay. Still your turn.
Still up?
Yeah.
Oh, he needs to make a strength saving throw.
That is a 10. Or an 8, actually. So they go flying.
15 feet. That's not what I want.
Nope. So they are then pushed 15 feet away from you.
He's going to spin and toss a javelin at them.
Okay. You get 3 attacks? Hot damn.
I have 2 attacks.
Oh, right. This is the second one. Okay.
This is the second one. Does a dirty 20?
A dirty 20 does hit.
10 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
Wait, does rage affect thrown weapons? Melee damage. Okay. Oh, can you add +2 to the 45?
Yep.
Because I forgot to add in rage.
Yes, I can.
Yep.
They are still
Yeah.
standing.
And that's turn.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'm going to Eldritch Smite on this.
Okay. Do it.
Now that's all my damage. Add on 20 to that.
Okay. They are
And
they are still alive.
he's knocked prone.
Okay. Ted stands up from his hiding spot and yells, "Good job, Alberjean!"
Motherfucker.
And you see them jump, like just leap from where they're standing and jump maybe like 40 feet. Just rocketing through the air over towards this mind flayer that's looking incredibly injured. And Ted wields his greatsword up, and he is going to try and make an attack towards this mind flayer. He got a 23 to hit. Good boy.
Did he roll with advantage?
He did not. That's okay. He got a good hit.
I wanted to crit.
He got... You see Ted just with more martial prowess than you think that they have brain power. You watch as they just slice through this illithid without issue. And as the body of this mind flayer drops, they turn around towards Bill's hiding spot and just a big thumbs up. Yeah! And you see Bill kind of pop up and like give a thumbs up and a nod back.
Oh, they're just as good at stealth as we are.
Okay, that one is dismissed. And as Ted yells out, there is a little bit of a moment of silence. Next up is Arjhan.
Do I see anybody?
Make a perception check.
12.
Okay. So you still see that around the far corner of the temple was the illithid that the one that has just been slain was talking to. and hearing Ted's war cry, it seems like they are aware that a member of their thought weft has been defeated, and they begin making their way back towards where your group is. You can see them quite clearly from your vantage point.
Okay. Bonus action, light the crossbow. They're within 100 feet.
Yeah.
18.
18 does hit.
Eight points of piercing, 4 points of fire for the first hit.
Okay.
22 is going to hit
Oh, yeah.
for 12 points of piercing, which is considered magical, and 2 points of fire.
Okay. They are still standing and have just taken crossbow bolts from where they have no idea from, and begin kind of scanning the general forest line, and they seem to take note of at least the direction that these bolts have come from. So then next up is Bill. And Bill is going to begin like making his way towards Ted, and he is going to also leap from the ground, but he is actually going to jump onto the top of the church and of this ruined temple, and looks down and gives Ted a big thumbs up. Ted gives him a thumbs up back. And then they are going to kind of creep along the upper lip of this ruined building to try and get a good vantage point on this mind flayer that seems to be making its way towards the area where the sound has been made. So then next up is going to be this mind flayer, who is able to round the outside of this temple and sees Alberjean and sees Ted. And when they see Alberjean, their head kind of tilts curiously, but then when they see Ted, they straighten up, and you see them get into a little bit more of an aggressive stance as the tendrils in front of their mouth just begin kind of like either rubbing up against each other, or there seems to be some sort of like visceral recognition from this Gith Yankee. And so, Alberjean, I need you to make an intelligence saving throw as this mind flayer raises its hands into a triangle-like pattern, moves them partially open. Tendrils also move with as they use a mind blast ability.
I'm concerned as to why you're excited, because it could go either way.
Because it's a natural 20 and have a -1.
Yay!
Okay. Sounds good. So you succeed, and you take no damage. However, your dear friend Ted is obviously not the smartest Gith Yankee in the bunch, and they fail. So they are going to be taking a pretty decent amount of damage. They take 18 points of psychic damage, and you see they are stunned. And they do not seem to be able to move. And it looks like they're stunned in an actual just like pointing at this illithid like, oh, fuck, it's you! Okay, so that was it for the Mind Flayer's turn. And then, Cori, what is your dexterity?
Cori's dexterity is a number equivalent to 13.
Okay, sounds good. So, from the back of the roof on this temple, and Cori, you can see this from your vantage point as well, as Bill looks down and sees that his dearest companion Ted has been blasted by this Mind Flayer's psionic beams. You see a creature rise up out of the ruined roofing, and you can see that it looks like a starfish. If a starfish had significantly more tendrils coming off of it, and at the end of each of these tendrils you can see what looks like a strange malformed eye stalk, and they are going to float up, look towards Bill, and you can see that 3 of these eye stalks align, and they are going to use their eye beams to actually target this dum-dum who jumped up onto the roof. So, let's see here. All right, so let's see. Oh, I rolled the wrong dice. Okay. So these are for the first eye ray. Let's see if Ted can make that their charisma, or Bill can. Bill is actually a charismatic guy, so that is no worries. He passes from that eye beam. The second, let's see if he's intelligent. Smarter than you would believe. So he does not take 27 points of psychic damage.
Oh, God.
And then let's see how his con be. And it looks like he is actually capable of shielding himself from all of the eye beams that this floating creature has tried to use upon them. Cori, it is your turn. You can see that there is this Mind Flayer that has showed up, used this kind of psionic beam towards Alberjean and Ted, and you can see that Bill on the roof is currently being assailed by this floating creature.
Things seem to have gone tits up quicker than anticipated. Cori's going to just start sprinting towards the middle of the battlefield, and she's like, "You look like you've got this," and she's going to face step behind the Mind Flayer.
Okay.
And she's in moon form, so he needs to make a charisma saving throw.
He doesn't.
Okay. He's gonna be baned.
Okay.
I don't know for how long.
I believe for the next minute.
So rarely in this form. Okay. So yeah. Is it? It's not concentration, is it? Or
no,
does he?
It is not.
Does he get saves at the end of his turn or something?
He does not.
Oh God. Get fucked. And then she's going to attack him.
Okay.
With her sword. Let's do it on D&D Beyond. Why not? 14 to hit.
A 14 does not hit.
All right, second attack. Does a 21 hit?
A 21 does hit.
All right. I'll put a second level smite on this. But first of all, let's go ahead and do 15 slashing damage. And then with a second level smite, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 d8s of radiant damage. Boop. And that'll be 26 radiant damage for him.
Holy shit. Okay.
Boop.
They're looking incredibly injured.
All right. I think that's all she can do. Okay. That's movement, attack, and bonus. So that's Cori. Here she is.
How many attacks do you get a turn?
2. I already attacked twice.
Cool.
First one missed.
Gotcha. Okay, next up, top of the round with Alberjean.
Run up to that illithid that Cori just booped. Doing the old Great Weapon Master. 16? Yeah, 16.
A 16 does hit. They have a singular breastplate. They're not heavily armored.
24 points of bludgeoning.
Sweet. They had 4 going into this, so when you hit them with your Urgosh, they just rocket towards the side of this ruined building and just make a crater on this side wall of this building, and then you see them sort of just peel off and fall to the ground.
Cori looks at Alberjean, gives him a thumbs up, and says, "Excellent."
How high up is the starfish beholder?
It's about 30 feet.
Cool. Could I leverage if I were to slap the Urgosh on the ground to propel myself upwards and use the rest of my movement?
Roll for it.
Athletics?
We'll say that this is an acrobatics check. Because you're trying to flip your way up from hitting the ground. This is
18?
a 19?
18.
18? Okay. You rocket jump your way up there. Describe it for the class. What does this look like?
It's an underhanded golf swing that hits the illithid and sends it flying, and then he swings around and just hits the ground as hard as he can, and there is a residual as he just jettisons upwards 15 feet, sinks a hand into the wall, and then like pulls himself up the rest of the way.
And when you burst up from the ground, you can hear Bill atop the wall, "Whoa!" And then you see the stunned Ted, teeth clenched. Like they're trying to also exclaim their excitement at this, but they just don't seem able. It is Ted's turn. They are currently stunned. And that is a nat 1. They're still stunned by all of this.
Boy.
Next up is Arjhan. And Arjhan, you see this floating, icky-looking beholder-styled creature up there.
We've killed 2 of the illithid, right?
Yes. But the Githyanki have killed 1.
Oh, okay. So the mind witness is the only thing that's left.
Yes.
Okay.
Raid. Dragons in the dining room. Thank you for the raid.
You missed some shit.
No kittens tonight, but
Thank you.
Fun. I would like to. I would like to blood curse of the marked. Amplify it on the mind witness. Mind witness still has blood, right?
Yeah.
Oof, owie. That's gonna hurt me. Okay, and then I'm gonna make an attack at advantage.
Okay.
That's 23 hit
Oh, yeah.
for 11 points of piercing damage
Okay.
and 6 points of fire damage. Second attack. Natural 20.
Oh, my God. Okay. Bwomp, 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 bwomp.
For 17 points of piercing damage. And let me check one thing really quickly. Whenever I deal right damage, I roll an additional hemiocraft die. Okay, cool. Okay. Rerolling one of those ones. Okay, 12 points of fire damage.
12?
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there any... It's still up. Is there anything that else that you would like to do?
I'd like to take an action surge.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still my turn. Yay, love it. Cool. Ooh, 19.
A 19 still hits. It is a big, fleshy meatball in the sky.
11 points of piercing damage, 5 points of fire.
Okay.
20 is going to hit
Oh, yeah.
for 9 points of piercing and 5 points of fire.
Okay. It looks like it is in the process of bleeding out at this point, and you all hear pretty loudly from the stunned Ted, Bill, you gotta kill it, Bill, otherwise you can't be in the military together. And as this creature looks like it is suffering the fatal wound of this crossbow bolt, Bill gives a thumbs up to Ted. And says, "Don't worry, we'll get to the military together." And turns around and just starts wailing on this beholder atop the roof. Arjhan, you're pretty sure that you killed this thing? But for the Gith Yankee to accept Bill and Ted as members of their society, they needed this kill steal under their belt in order to be full-fledged members.
It was still doing its death animation when he started stabbing it.
Yeah, no damage popped up at the top, but like it still like registered that Bill was the one who got it.
Their brotherhood is very touching.
And soon Bill jumps down towards Ted's stunned ass. And Ted, oh my god. He stays stunned for the full minute.
Great. Good for him.
And as the two of them are like talking to each other, you see one of these illithid coming from the back of the temple just take a sickly black arrow to its back, and then you watch as it drops. And it looks almost like when Caelum uses his Nevermore life hunt, that there is just this thread of energy that seems to extend from the arrow up into the air, and you see that there is just this bright red colored pseudo dragon just sort of flying around with a small archer. And this red thread seems to actually extend to the archer on its back.
Divine sense.
Telltale hint to Fae, as Ash is a half-elf.
Interesting.
And soon, Bill and Ted, Matt and Deacon are all successfully able to say that they have slain a mind flayer each, and you find yourself out of combat, having taken care of this group of illithid that had made their home in this small ruin of a fortress, or a small ruin of a temple. And as Ash comes over with their group, they will kind of acknowledge that you all have done the job that you needed to, and will once again use a set of teleportation magics once you go back to the place where you teleported to then return back to the fortress that they had at the edge of the wood. And when you arrive, you see that the vessel, this Gith Yankee vessel that had taken you here, is well stocked, ready to go. You see that as your group is actually making their way onto the deck of this ship, there are other Gith Yankee that are bringing these large eggs back out and are actually kind of stationing them inside of this ramshackle hut. And Ash kind of gives a knowing nod to understand that these eggs will eventually hatch into Gith Yankee that they will then have to care for until they are ready to go back home. And as your group boards this ship with your new companions, Bill and Ted, Matt and Deacon, you all rise up into the sky once again, and you find yourself jettisoning back into the astral plane. And when you do, you settle down at the edge of one of these shipyards, and the Gith are welcomed as heroes. It seems like their status as being young is actually a larger cause for celebration. And as these Gith are all patting themselves on the back, cheering about how they were able to defeat these to defeat the members of the most hated Ilithari, Rasa will actually come out of the crowds towards you all and will lean down and in Draconic to you, Arjhan, say, "He has awoken."
We need to go. We need to go right now.
And they will lean down their shoulder for you to hop on once again. And they will begin to fly towards the facility that Caelum has been being taken care of. Caelum, you have been asleep for far too long, it feels like. When you had regained your sense of self within the library and spoke the 10th word to Father Linar, there was a part of you that was able to be reclaimed. You found yourself again, and with finding yourself, you were able to grab a hold of all of the memories that you were on the cusp of losing from your time under Discovery's, to put it lightly, care. And you remember specifically 2 interactions. These were your, as Discovery put them, test runs to see whether or not you would be capable of undergoing what Father Linar had planned. In the first of these test runs, you found yourself in the chamber of the Great Contemplator, Brother Groon, and standing before him, you remember using Nevermore Life Hunt to reach out and attack this giant that had once taught you the language of the lost. And the expression that they have on their face watching you do this is that of a stony resolve. They don't question it. They don't cry out. They just seem to accept that this is their fate. And this occurred before Amaris ended up leaving you for a single night. This was still under her care. And when Brother Groon disappeared, normally your Nevermore Life Hunt would just come back with a little bit of their life's essence. But here in this place, this giant of stone turns to dust, and you feel his energy come to you. The second test run was finding yourself within a chamber. And within this chamber, you saw that there were 6 individuals wearing these very nice blue robes with silver trim. And you see that there were 7 seats that were set out. And when you arrive, a figure that you recognize as Brother Moonbow approaches you and says that they did not expect to see you back so soon. These were once mages of renown, and they were out of practice. And very quickly, very easily, you are able to dismiss them. And when you do, you used a negative energy flood in order to attach yourself to the life threads of all of these spellcasters. And as you pulled these threads apart and you could feel the raw energy coming towards you, this was a wellspring. This is like you had just discovered a new mote of arcane power, and you were the only one to have ever harnessed its power. A power that was all too ready to give, and a power in which you later discovered the word of creation. It was in this moment that you felt the presence of the Shadow Weave. And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stick with us and join us for this wonderful excursion through Bill and Ted's excellent Githyanki adventure in the Astral Sea. I had an absolute blast playing this game tonight, so that's enough about me. Hey, RJ, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ here on the channel, but you can catch me at RJustice282 on Twitter and Twitch, where I tweet about the nerdy stuff in my life and stream. I think tomorrow I'll be joined, hopefully, by Danae Keener of Danae Keener renown and Frothy Inferno as we play some Satisfactory, a new game that launched on Steam. It's in alpha currently, and it scratches all the itches. We got collecting, manufacturing, and a giant space elevator. You can catch me over at the Hype Goblins channel tomorrow at 10 p.m. EST, where I play Titus Valentine, a Warlock Ranger on the hunt for his family's killers. And we will be repeating that again on Thursday at the same time, as well as Sunday at 8:30 EST AM. All this is in the AM. Other than that, the next week on Thursday at 7:30 EST, you can catch myself over at G Game Nights, yeah, where I'm playing Good Society. It's a great game, a lot of role play. I slugged my cousin in the face for talking about my dead mother.
Hi, I'm Connor. I'm Cyber. You can find me. You can find most of my things on cyberwolf1201.live. It's got my Patreon. It's got my Twitch. It's got my YouTube. It's got all the things. For other things, you can find me on jabroni.tv, where you can find a whole bunch of other streamers that also do really, really cool stuff. You can also find Indoors and all of his streams, a lot of his streams, on Jabroni Tabletop. It's a cool place. Check it out. Liz Mac did a good job working on that. For RPG stuff, I'm here. I'm here on Mondays. That's it. That's it for now. Thursday, we're not going to be starting the game for a little bit. But hey, apparently here Thursday, there's going to be a game that's happening. And on Saturdays, the Black Banner has ended. Yeah. DanaeKeener.com.
And speaking of DanaeKeener.com, hi everybody, I'm Danae Keener. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I do nerdy drawings mostly related to D&D and a lot of things on this channel. I play as Cori the Alberjean Paladin on Mondays. On Sundays, I play as Baz, the Drow rogue fighter who just met his sister out in the jungles of Chult. She's not supposed to be there. And on Wednesday, this Wednesday, we're going to be doing Monster Noir again. Yeah. Our beloved Detective Harker has sold her soul to the devil, or at least half of it. Let's see how that turns out. DanaeKeener.com.
Just a little soul, as
just
a
a
treat.
little, as a snack.
And hello. If you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey Acorns, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/IndoorAdventures. We do shows like this Monday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Thursday game's not going to be coming towards later this month, so yeah, I wouldn't expect you to come by this Thursday to see anything, because there might not be anything there, or there might be. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But there is going to be a game on Wednesday, which is Monster Noir, which again, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Or, like Danae said, we got our Tomb of Annihilation game on Sundays, and that is at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So a little bit later on in the evening, but that just means that we are extra ridiculous for it just starting that late. But we are going to be going into our Patreon-supported after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. So before we head off, I would like to say once again, thank you to everybody who decided to stop by. Thank you to these wonderful players for putting up with my bullshit again this week. And we'll see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Be excellent to each other!